Welcome back to Old Times Talk. I'm your host, Landon, and we have an amazing guest with us today. Well, thank you, Viola, for being on the podcast today.
You're welcome.
So, to start off, if you want to just introduce us to who you are, where you grew up, all that fun stuff.
My name is Trina Viola Wood Clark, and I grew up in Lyman on a farm, and we never said we were bored. Because if we ever said we were bored, we'd be out in the field picking up rocks or picking up sticks in the corral. So we never ever said that we were bored and we worked. I remember tromping hay on the 4th of July and watching the cars down the lane going to have a celebration. But oh no, my dad didn't believe that. We worked. So I tromped hay, I drove truck, I drove tractor, I drove anything that you can imagine. I rode a horse, we had cows. And then when I graduated from high school, I went to BYU for 1 year, and then my boyfriend, Emmett Clark, and I put in to get a loan from the VA to buy a farm in Grover. We bought 167 acres, 50 cows and permit on the mountain, and we had $20,000 for the 167 acres. We got 50 cows and 29 shares of irrigation water. And we had 3 children. Randall, I forgot to say we were married in 55. And Randall, our oldest, was born in 57. And then 18 months later, Martin was born, and 5 years later, Sherry. And we all worked hard. We were putting a sprinkling system in, and the person who was supposed to have dug the trench for 1 mile didn't get it deep enough, so we had to add another foot. We put in sprinkler system, but we dug that extra foot by shovel. I got to say that. And we had a good life. We worked hard. And again, I drove truck with the cows, and Emmett had the horses in the back of the pickup, and we were driving our cows from the mountain range down to the desert. I let the kids out. I told you that. I let the kids out at the bottom of a dugway on the winter range and started up the dugway with the truck, and the cows, because it was so steep, the cows sunk to the back and made the first end of the pickup or truck. I'm a little loony. Come up, and so I tapped on the brakes, and it made the cows come forward and push the front end of the truck down. And then when I got up on top of the dugway, the kids ran up and said, "Wow." They thought that was pretty neat. But I always told my kids that they were leaders and not followers, because a leader knew where they were going. A follower had no idea where they were going. So, make a long story short, my 2 boys were student body presidents. We had it wasn't a large school like up here. And they both had scholarships to Utah State and BYU. And they chose BYU until they could go on a mission. Randall went to Australia, Martin went to Helsinki, Finland, and Sherry stayed home and worked so hard until she graduated from high school. She was a cheerleader and a historian of a high school. And then when Randall got home, when he left, we were surprised that he went because he was so in love with Pam. And so after he got home from his mission, he was married within 6 weeks. Martin and Randall became an electrician. And Martin went to school, and he was communications. He graduated in communications. Sherry graduated in business at UVU. So here I am. My husband died 12 and a half years ago. So my kids put me in this cell. We had a 5-bedroom home in Grover.
Hey, well, I love it. I guess one of my questions would be, if you were to give any advice to your children and grandchildren, aside from being a leader, what would it be?
To work hard at whatever you decide to do. Work hard. That's what I would say. But today they don't have things that they can do, like on a ranch. My kids each had a horse, and they each had, we had 4-wheelers, but they each one had Honda 100, 190, and 100, and Sherry had a 70. So, but I think they enjoyed it. It was harder on Sherry because she was a girl, and the boys had friends down the hill. The Dietlines, which includes Mark Dietline. Do you know Mark Dietline?
I don't.
He owns the Hale Theater.
Really?
The Dietlines came in later, and the Mulfords were just there, and they were our friends. We played cards, pinochle, and hand and foot every Thursday night, either down to their place or up to ours, because we were out on a ranch, and our closest neighbor was the Mulfords. And they were 1.5 miles away. So, and the Dietlines were probably 3 miles, the Hales. So, and we had scouts on our lawn every summer for at least a month for 30 years. And we had the 4th of July celebration on our lawn with all our neighbors, the Dietlines, the Hales, the Mulfords, and the Hankses. And we would they'd be on our lawn, and we'd have potluck dinner and just the best music. The Dietlines and Hales were so talented. And I would make the sourdough biscuits. My husband would cook the mutton. And the rest of them would just fill in salads, desserts. And the fun part was we always had an egg toss. So I always made sure I had at least 3 dozen eggs. And you divide up, and you start tossing an egg. You have a partner on one side. You throw the egg to them, and they catch it, and then you step back. And then they throw the egg, then you step back. Towards the end, if you threw somebody threw an egg and you were clear across the lawn, you were lucky if you could catch it alive. That was something that we all looked forward to. I don't think we looked forward to it, but we all laughed so hard. So, but my kids had a good bringing up.
And what was your bringing up like?
Work. We worked. My dad would let the boys go to church if they, but if they were to play, goof off, then they worked on the farm. But if you wanted to go to church, that's fine. But we worked. That's all I can tell you.
Do you miss it?
I miss Grover. But my growing up in Lyman was nothing but work. My dad just believed in work, and he was successful in everything he did. But we always went to church when I was married. We had to drive to Teesdale, which is 7.5 miles one way, to go to church. But we made sure our kids went to church. If they didn't say anything, we just dressed them up and threw them in the car, and away we went.
What was your mom like?
My mother was very, what do you call, submissive with my father. She never, if he said, this is what we're going to do, that is what we were going to do. We never took a vacation, ever. But when we were married, Emmett took our kids to Iowa to his friends. We went to Oregon to see his brother. We traveled. Not all the time, but when we could, we traveled.
And kind of on that topic with your family, what would you say is one of your most cherished memories that you have with your children and your husband growing up?
Cherished? I can't think of one thing. I just know that we all loved, my kids would go out on the mountain to check the cows with their dad. And I would meet them, if I could, with their lunch. If it was somewhere that there was a road, I'd meet them. But I can't think of just one thing. The sad things were, my husband had his first heart attack at 48. So that meant the kids and I had to do the farm work. I was good at mowing hay. We didn't have these big swathers. We had hay mowers and raked, and then my kids would put it on we had a baler that I had to duck because you weren't sure it was going to hit you in the back of the head. The parts, it was so funny.
Did you ever get hit in the back of the head?
No. No, but I can't. The sad thing was Emmett would have to just keep working his way back after he'd have a heart attack. But then he had 2 open heart surgeries, and a claim to fame was Dr. President Nelson did one at LDS Hospital. He was one of the surgeons when they did bypass. He was just a doctor at the time, and then he became an apostle. So he spent most of his life being an apostle. But that was our claim to fame. That's not, he was just a good person. My saddest part was when my husband died. And my friend told me to just pull outside the road and cry. So I did many times. He's been dead almost 13 years, 12 and a half. So.
What would you say is the thing you missed most about Emmett?
Just his companionship. I could lean on him for anything. If I had a problem, I could lean on him and he'd help me through it. Or if the kids had problems, they could lean on him. So the companionship is what I miss most.
Is it a different kind of grief than losing a parent?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. I felt bad when my father died. I felt badly when my mother died. But when my husband died, it was just wrenching.
And what kind of got you through that grief?
Just crying. My kids were very good to support me. They hung around me and they supported me in everything I needed to do. We sold the lower part of our farm, 100 acres, and we kept the rest, and that's why I'm up here. They just sold my house to my grandson, so I can stay here. Please, I don't want to stay here till I'm 94. But it's been good for the most part to be here.
Well, good. Well, at least you know your house is in good hands.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess what's one of the most crazy experiences you've had in this life?
Well, I can't think of the craziest things. Just getting through any sickness. But my kids played basketball, and we would always go, no matter how far it was, like to Green River or to Panguitch, we would follow those kids wherever they played. So I don't suppose that's anything that's grievous. It's just that we made sure we supported our kids. We made sure we did. Even Sherry, and being a cheerleader, we'd go over in Emmet County if she had a competition over there, or down Green River, down, I don't remember going to Monticello, but we went to some of the places down in there, the smaller schools. But I can't think of anything really grievous. My kids never caused any trouble. The only trouble we had is Martin was going to let his hair grow out, because that was kind of rebellious style. So we kept the money, so we couldn't buy any gas for his car. So come to find out, Sherry was giving him her allowance to buy the gas for the car. But we didn't have any, I don't remember anything serious. We just kept things going.
Did you ever take your kids on any crazy vacations or adventures?
Renting houseboats on Lake Powell every summer. We even went to Hawaii at one time. That was our 50th. And every kid earned enough money to buy their ticket. And we went to Kauai, stayed at the Azlet House. And we went to Yellowstone. You name it, we went. I can't remember all the places we went right off the top of my head, but we went to Lake Powell a lot. We'd rent a houseboat. Then when the family got too big, we couldn't do that anymore. We couldn't all fit on a houseboat.
You never got 2 houseboats?
No, we could barely afford one.
What is something that you miss from either your childhood or your adulthood?
I worked at Fish Lake, and we would get in a old rickety boat. We were allowed to take a boat, and we didn't have life jackets on. We would row across Fish Lake in an old rickety boat. Sometimes the winds would come up. Have you ever been to Fish Lake?
I haven't been to that one.
It's deep. You haven't been to Fish Lake? You need to go.
I'll put it on my to-do list for this summer.
Okay.
So you wouldn't wear life jackets, though?
No life jackets, heavens. Never even heard of it. No, I don't know. I did a lot of things. I worked at cafes, worked at the Forest Service during the summers. And we'd go out on top of Boulder and make sure the campgrounds were clean. And one time for a while I was in the office. I did the payroll, but I enjoyed what I did.
Do you have a favorite job out of all those that you've done?
Fish Lake, I worked at. No, I worked at the Forest Service, and I went up through Fish Lake and checked on campgrounds. You need to go to Fish Lake. It's just one of a kind. There's not over against the mountain, they haven't even found the bottom some places. Ooh, that's where the monster is.
That's crazy. Well, I guess in closing, Viola, what is one tidbit or jewel of advice that you would give to those that are listening?
Just be kind. Be kind to each other in this place.
Well, do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
Oh no, that's more than enough.
Well, it was perfect. Well, thanks again, Viola, for being on the podcast.
Well, thank you for being so kind.
Absolutely.
You're doing a good job here.
Well, thank you. With that, I'm Landon, and this is Old Times Talk. Thanks for tuning in to Old Times Talk. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to be notified for when wisdom drops. If you want to stay up to date on all things Old Times Talk, follow us on Facebook or Instagram. And if you or someone you know would like to participate in this podcast, head to oldtimestalk.com and hit the referral tab. I know it seems a little intimidating at first, but it really is as simple as me coming to your house or meeting up in a public area, clipping on these microphones, and having a good old-fashioned conversation. Because as we know, every memory is worth preserving. But with that, I'm Landon, and this is Old Times Talk.